Where are we? On the bottom of Chaf Hayamid Beis, the middle of Kal V'chomer city. All right. So again, we had a machlokes in the Mishnah, Reb Tarfon and the Chachamim, whether Keren pays Nezek Shalom Rishus HaYachid, meaning Tam. You have a Tam the first 3 times or the first 2 times, then when you go with Gors. So in Rishus HaRabim, it pays Chatzi Nezek, and according to the Chachamim, Rishus HaYachid also pays Chatzi Nezek. According to Reb Tarfon, in Rishus HaYachid, not Rishus, right, Rishus, let's just call it Rishus HaYachid, pays Nezek Shalom, and he had a Kal V'chomer to teach that. And the Chachamim said, we don't learn out the Kal V'chomer because it's Daya. Okay, so then they have with the Psukim, but the bottom line is that Reb Tarfon holds that Keren in Rishus HaYachid pays Nezek Shalom. The Chachamim say it's only Chatzi Nezek. Now, the Gemara starts asking all sorts of kashas. It's based on really asking on the Chachamim Shita, but it also, some of them can fit into Reb Tarfon Shita. So 4 lines up in the bottom. The Shein v'regel chayiv Rishus HaRabim mikal v'chomer. Shein and regel. So another thing. So again, Keren Rishus HaYachid is a machlokes whether it's Nezek Shalom or Chatzi Nezek. Shein and regel, according to everybody, Shein and regel is Potter and Rishus HaRabim, Chayiv and Rishus HaNizek. All right? And now the Gemara is asking that let Shein and regel be Chayiv and Rishus HaRabim mikal v'chomer. Again, we're saying we know that Shein and regel Potter. All right? Rishus HaRabim. So we're saying, well, why don't we say Shein and regel is Chayiv Rishus HaRabim mikal v'chomer? Not Keren. Shebishus HaNizek and Mishalom El Chatzi Nezek. So Keren, according to the Chachamim, in the Rishus HaNizek only pays half damages. But for Rishus HaRabim, Chayeves. In Rishus HaRabim, it's Chayev. Shein v'regel, Shebishus HaNizek Mishalom Nezek Shalom. So Shein v'regel that have to pay in Rishus HaNizek and it didn't Rishus HaRabim Chayev. Isn't it a Kal V'chomer that they'd be Chayev Rishus HaRabim, right? Fairly straightforward, this Kal V'chomer. All right, Shein and regel in Rishus HaRabim, Shein and regel in Rishus HaNizek pay half, and Rishus HaRabim also pay half. So Shein and regel that in Rishus HaNizek pays full, and Rishus HaRabim should also pay full. So Makro, the Gemara answers, no, you can't make a Kal V'chomer because we have a pasuk that tells you not like the Kal V'chomer. Makro bir b'stei acher says you should go burn in a different field, the loy b'Rishus HaRabim, and not in a Rishus HaRabim.
It's Yaakov, you'd pay Nezek Shalom Rishus HaRabim? According to Rabban, or Chatzi Nezek if you learn how to Kal V'chomer?
So let's read the next Gemara. Yeah?
No, I'm saying like the Gemara original Havamina, that's what I'm asking about.
In the Havamina?
It would be Chatzi Nezek for Shein v'regel and Rishus HaRabim?
Bro, that's exactly the Gemara's kasha now. The Gemara is assuming that it's the whole
you
thing.
had said in Rishus HaRabim they would pay Nezek Shalom, but
the Gemara doesn't say. The Gemara just says pay.
I'm asking. You would think it would be Nezek Shalom for Shein v'regel, or would it be Chatzi Nezek like where they're learning it out from? According to Rabban, it would be dire, no?
It's right. So that's
it would be Chatzi Nezek.
Let's see. Let's do the next line. I think that's the kavanah of the Gemara's kasha. Midi kule kamrinon, palga kamrinon. We're not saying that you should be paying the full. We were saying that they should pay Chatzi Nezek, right? Shein and regel should be Chatzi Nezek. And that's not a stira to bir b'stei acher. Right? Meaning when it says ubir b'stei acher, that's when you have to pay the whole thing in stei acher. But to pay half, that you can do in even Rishus HaRabim. That I think, yeah, that's what the Gemara is asking. Me that kula kamrina and palga kamrina. So makro v'chitza v'chotzu as kaspoy. It says you pay half, right? Kaspoy shel zeh v'loy kaspoy shel acher. It's the kesef of this one, and not the kesef of this one, right? Yeah, fine. So that's a pasuk's telling you otherwise, meaning you only pay Chatzi Nezek for Keren, and that's it. So Bir B'stei Acher tells you that there's no full Shein v'regel Rishus HaRabim, and it's also telling, and then Chatzi Oskasba is telling you only Keren pays Chatzi Nezek, Shein and regel doesn't. So these psukim eliminate the kavachoimers. Okay. And another kavachomer. So why don't we go the other way and say Shane and Regel should only have to pay half damages? The kavachomer, the Karen is a kavachomer from Karen, right? Ma Karen shebishus harabim chayeves. So Karen in rishus harabim is chayev rishus nizik eina mishalem as elachatzi nezek. Right, meaning Karen is chayev in rishus harabim, and rishus nizik it only pays chatzi nezek. Shane v'regel shebishus harabim petura. Shane and Regel that is pot in rishus harabim and it did rishus nizik mishalem chatzi nezek. Right, meaning if Karen, which is chayiv in rishus harabim, only pays half when the damage happens in rishus nizik, so Shane and Regel that in rishus harabim is potter, of course should only pay chatzi nezek in rishus nizik. So makro yishale.
How does this follow from the last line? You just learned the pasuk. Chatzu is kaspe shalzev, like kaspe shalach.
Right.
Along comes the Gemara. Oh no, Shen v'regel should pay chatzi nezek. We just said it can't.
Taisus question.
Yeah. Right, b'chatzu is custom. The second Taisus. Very good. Right. Okay, then Taisus Teretz is a whole complicated thing. Paying me gufa, and all that. Yeah, I'm not treading down there. Either way, so the Gemara finds a different shot. Omar Kro Yishalim, a different pasuk. Yishalim, you have to pay Tashlum and Ma'alya. You pay Tashlum and Ma'alya. So the Gemara says, "V'lo take Karen v'shus harabim chayim mikavachomer," and shouldn't Karen be chayim v'shus harabim from a kavachomer? Uma shein v'regel sheb'shus nizik nezek shalem. Again, Karen and v'shus harabim, meaning you should not have to pay for Karen and v'shus harabim. Shein and Regel and Rishus Nizik it pays Nezek Shalem, but Rishus Ram Petura. Right, so they pay full damages in the Rishus Nizik, and they pay nothing in Rishus Harabim. Right? Karen Rishus Nizik Chatzi Nezek. Karen that does pay Rishus Nizik and it didn't Rishus Ram Petura as in the Kavachomer, then the Rishus Ram should be Potter. So Yochanan Omakro Yechtzon Ein Chatzi Nezek Cholok Lo Rishus Ram Lo Rishus Yochanan. It says half, right? Because Chatzi Nezek, we don't differentiate non-Rishus Harabim and non-Rishus Yochanan. Okay, so Gemara says v'yei Adam, and that's it. So now we're done with the Keren, Shein, and Regel. Now we're on to a different thing. So we know that there's something called kofer, right? Kofer means it's basically when your animal kills somebody. So there's no chiyuv misa on the person, but the owner has to pay the equivalent of the worth of the person that died and pay it to his family. Right? A person when he kills doesn't pay kofer. When his animal kills, you pay kofer. Right? So Gemara is going to ask, Adam chayav b'kofer mikav v'chaymer. Let a person should be chayav in kofer mikav v'chaymer. Mashar shein chayav ba'arba dvarim. So shar doesn't have the 4 damages, right? We've also said that when a man damages, he has to pay really 5 damages. Nezek, tsar, ripoy, sheves, boishes. Right? When an animal damages, all it pays is nezek. Right? So if an animal that doesn't pay tsar, ripoy, sheves, boishes is chayav b'kofer, but it has to pay kofer if it kills. So Adam, shechayav b'arba dvarim, anything shechayav b'kofer, a person who is chayav the 4, shouldn't be a kavachomer that he should get kofer. It's what you put on to him, meaning whatever kofer you put onto the animal or the owner of the animal. So it's on him and not on humans. It's only kofer is only on humans. So another place that a pasuk eliminates a kavachomer. When it says again, so turn the kavachomer around and say that maybe a shor should be chayiv to pay tsar, ripuy, sheves, and boishes. From a kavachomer ma adam she'ena chayiv b'kofer. So a person is not chayiv in kofer, but chayiv b'arba dvarim. Shor shechayiv b'kofer, and it didn't shechayiv b'arba dvarim. Right? Also fairly straightforward. So Makra, Ish ba'misoi v'loy shor ba'misoi. Pasuk's telling you that it's a man that kills his friend and not a hurts. His friend has to pay the 4 damages, the 4 additional damages, v'loy shor ba'misoi, but not a shor. Okay, fine. Iboilu. This next part's a little dicey. Iboilu. Regel shedarsal gabi tinok v'chotzar nizik maud shetashalim koifer. What about if an animal darsa steps on a baby in a chotzar of the nizik and kills the baby? What's the din? Does it have to pay koifer? Now we know that koifer is by Karen. Is there koifer by regel? Essentially, that's what the Gemara is asking. Miarino midi dava Karen. Do we say it's the same thing as Karen? Karen, kiven the other tray utlasas imni archehu. Since Karen, which is tam, since it did it 2 or 3 times, which is very like, what does 2 or 3 mean? Right? Maybe it's going like both shitas. Right? One sheet holds it's 2, one sheet holds it's 3. So what since it does it 2 or 3 times, archehu becomes its way. So therefore, Mishalim Kaifer, it has to pay Kaifer if it kills. So to here, regel, there's no tam in Karen because regel, it's the normal thing to do to trample on things. Idilma, Karen kavanasi lahazik. Karen, if it became a muad, it's kavana. It's running around goring things because that's its kavana. Hi, but regel ain't kavanasi lahazik. It does not have kavana to damage. It's just walking around. It happens to be that it stepped on a baby. The Tashima. So, yeah, so that's it, right? So that's the Gemara Shaila. Again, is there kaifer by regal? So Tashma hit nishari lechatzer balabayis shaloy b'rishus. If a guy brings in his shor to the chatzer balabayis without permission, but not kula balabayis, and it gores the balabayis umeis. So ashor b'skila. So what happens? The shor gets skila. Ubailov bein tam beimu mishalim kaifer shalim. And the bailam, whether it's a tam or a muad, pays full kaifer. Divir Reb Tarfon. Now the chiddush here is that you're paying kaifer even if it's a tam, right? We've always been learning that a tam does not pay kaifer, only a muad. And here Reb Tarfon is saying that a kaifer does pay. So kaifer shalim betam Reb Tarfon minole. How does Reb Tarfon know that you pay kaifer shalim for a tam? Isn't it because he holds like Rabbi Yosef Glili? The Amar Tam Mishalim Chatzi Koifer B'Rishus Harabim. Yosef Glili holds that a tam pays half koifer in Rishus Harabim. U'Maisilam Kal V'Chomer MiRegel, and he's going to learn it from a Kal V'Chomer from Regel, meaning the same way he had in the Mishnah that if in Rishus Harabim you pay half, then Rishus HaYochid you're going to pay whole. So the same thing. He's going to go like Rabbi Yosef Glili, who holds that you pay half koifer in Rishus Harabim, and it means you're going to pay nezik shalim in Rishus HaYochid. Amma ika koifer berega. So you see that he must hold that this koifer by regal. So Amar Rav Simi Menarda, meaning so he's learning it out from koifer. So Amar Rav Simi Menarda, he says no, you don't need to do that. Tana minizok in the regal ma'asila. He learns out the kal v'chomer from the regular damages of regal, which the Gemara doesn't say what the kal v'chomer would be, right? But the Rashi says it. Regel and Rishus Harabim is potter, but Rishus HaNizik is nezik shalim. So Karen, that's Rishus Harabim pays half koifer, right? Isn't it a kal v'chomer? Then Rishus HaNizik will pay koifer shalim, right? So the Gemara asks the lifroy, malin nezikin the regel shekin yeshun be'esh. Well, you can't necessarily learn out from damages of the regel because that you have by fire, meaning there's no koifer by eish, right? And there's no right. If your fire goes and damages, there's no koifer, right? How does it go? And Right. So since there's no kaifer by Aish, right? But regular damages there would be, right, by goring. So you can't compare the two. So he says, well, how about mitaman? If it's hidden, like we learned a couple of days ago, something that's hidden under something, you don't have to pay for. Fine. So then okay, malataman shekin yeshna bar, but taman you do have by bar, right? You're going to be chayiv on something that's hidden in a bar. So it says mikalim. Well, then we'll learn it out from kalim in a bar because we know kalim that fall into a bar, you're not chayiv. Okay, so we're asked malakalim sheyeshna be'esh, but kalim do get damaged by fire. So we say we're talking about kalim tmunim, kalim that are hidden. So those you don't have, right? So the Gemara asks, "Malakalim tmunim sheyeshnu ba'adam," but that kalim tmunim you have by adam, right? Where he was chayiv. He's learning it out from kofer the regel. Alma ika kofer beregel. So you see that there is kofer beregel. Shmamina. So the Gemara says taka that you would pay kofer for regel. I have no idea how we pass it, right? But he's saying shmamina that there is kofer beregel. So it makes sense that again, if an animal tramples somebody, he has to pay for the kofer. Right? These are the lack of kofer by regel. Because if you think that there's no kofer by regel, the Tana menazikin the regel ma'asila, and the Tana is learning it from nazikin of regel. Lifrech mala nazikin the regel, shken yesham beregel. This nazikin of regel has regel, right? Meaning you have to pay damages for regel, but not necessarily kofer. You don't. Right? Kofer the regel ma'asila must be learning it out from kofer of regel. Alma ika kofer beregel. So you see from this that this kofer beregel shmamina. So that's the maskana, right? So the question is there tam and muad for it? Or not, right? There isn't. Yeah, I think. Yeah, okay, fine. That's the, yeah. Oh, okay, that's a siyum on animals. Done with animals. Now we get into human
Animals.
well, human animals maybe. Okay, so Zok the Mishnah. Adam muad la'olam, right? Everybody knows that phrase. A person is always a muad. Right? Meaning you're chayiv bein shoygig, bein mezid, bein ar, bein yasham. A man that does damage is chayiv whether he was shoygig, mezid, whether he's up, whether he's sleeping. Then the Gemara says, "Simas ayin chavero." If he blinds the eye of his friend, b'shibur as a kalim, or he breaks his kalim, mishalim nezek shalom. You have to pay nezek shalom, right? Okay, so the Mishnah is saying that there's no out clauses for a human. A human's always considered a muad, right? But kalim, knocking out his eyes, somebody's eyes, and breaking kalim, you pay nezek shalom. Katani, the Gemara says, Katani sima is ein chaveiroi dumi t'shivra sakalim. Right? Blinding the eye of your friend is similar to breaking kalim. Ma hasam nezek in arba dvarim loy, just like over there. Damage, yes. Arba dvarim loy. So this is talking about shoygig. Rashi says we're talking about shoygig. If you by mistake knock out somebody's eye or break his kalim, you don't pay arba dvarim. So this is a very important Gemara. Meaning, we're saying that Adam is muad la'olam, right? So that means a person's always liable. Whether it is b'shoygeg, b'mezid, etc. Right? But if you did it b'shoygeg, you're not going to be chayiv to pay nezek tzar. Nezek, yes. No tzar ripoy sheves boishes. Those four other things you don't have to pay if you're b'shoygeg. Okay, on top of base. How do we know that you chayiv to pay damages even b'shoigig. That's what it means. Adamud loyal. Amar Chizkiya v'chein tana devei Chizkiya Amar Kra Petza Tachas Petza, right? Or it's Petza Tachas Potza, right? Which means a wound under a wound. So we're learning out from there that it's mechayev somebody who does it by mistake, the same way somebody does it on purpose. And somebody does it by einus, that he does it beratzon. So you want to ask, Sami Baile Litain Tsar b'Mokim Nezek. But we need this pasuk to tell us that you have to pay tsar even when there's damage. Right? It says we're going to see this later in the Masechta. The Gemara thinks that when do you have to pay tsar? When you hurt somebody, but there's nothing physically wrong with him. Like the Gemara says, like if you was it a nail in the finger or something? Not a nail.
Yeah, burn him on a fingernail.
You burned it on the fingernail, but there's no meaning. He's not worth, because damages means, even though you might make a mark on his nail, damages means that the guy's worth less on the open mark and the slave mark, right? So if you burn a guy on the finger, so he's not worth any less on the slave market. So maybe then you have to pay him for his pain because there's no damage, right? There's nothing to pay him damage. He's not worth any less, right? But maybe then you have to pay him for pain. But if you break a guy's finger and now he's worth less, so then you pay him for why he's worth less. You don't have to pay for pain. So the pasuk tells you, Petza Tachas Potza, that you do have to pay for pain. So Gemara answers, which means that you don't have it available to say that a man is chayiv and shoigig and einus. So Gemara answers, Imkain, 4 lines down, Imkain looks like Kra Petza Bipetza. My Tachas Petza, Shmami Natarti. It's coming to tell us 2 things. Fine. So now the Gemara goes through fairly simple, a bunch of variables if you with things that are forgotten. So Amar Rabba. If a guy has a stone on his chest, but he has no idea about it, right? Let's say he's laying down. Somebody, while he's sleeping, and somebody puts a stone on him, then he sits up, and that stone goes and does damage, right? So I said, and he stood up and nafla, and then it fell. For damages, he is chayiv.
Jackal, covered Simon. Why can't you just say put a dead body on him, and the dead body did the damage?
It would be the same case. Simon is enjoying your question. Right? It would be the same.
Why wouldn't the person that put the stone on top of him be chayiv?
He didn't do anything wrong.
He put a stone on top of someone didn't know about it. Not bar Aish, but together with both of them, something. Guy didn't know about it.
What?
I think
the guy
if he's
didn't know
sleeping,
about
he would be the person who put it there would be chayiv. I think the classic example today of this is you have a hot coffee and someone asks you the time. And you go, whoop, and you spill hot coffee on someone. He forgot the coffee was there. This guy he had a stone, whatever it was in his lap. Forgot it was there, stood up, and the stone fell on something, he broke it.
The case because
But here you didn't forget it was there. You didn't put it there. You didn't know it was there.
No, he did. I'm agreeing with you. I think the case here is where he put it there and forgot about it.
He fell asleep on the couch. He fell asleep on the couch, and you put something on him, and he got up at a shock, and it fell and ruined his suit, hurt him, whatever it is.
You have those new lead blankets with the rocks in it, or whatever it is.
We're going to get to these cases where the Gemara discusses Eir and Yashid.
Why are we learning that someone else placed a rock there? Maybe he put it on there to straighten his back or something, whatever.
No, because
it only says Evan is monachos. Evan monachos law b'cheko.
Because the next where he knew about it and forgot about it, right? So here, unless you can fit it into that rachman, I don't know. You fit it in that way.
Well, first case is when there's 2 people involved.
Well, Stammer, we have to also, I should have mentioned it before, but there's a machlokes with the Tosfos and Chazayin on the base of when it means that a person's chayiv ba'aynis, that means he's chayiv for every last thing, no matter what happens, even if it's totally totally out of his control, right? Or does he have to have some partial involvement? That's a machlokes rishonim. Some rishonim taka hold a man is always chayiv. It can have no shaykhis there, and he's going to be chayiv. Others say no, he's got to have. If it's totally not his fault, then it's not. Then he's not going to be chayiv, right? So here, the shaila is how both of those shittas will learn this Gemara, right? Because here we're saying, I mean, the stone was sitting on his chest, right? So what did he do wrong, right? Maybe because he should have known that he should have felt it, he should have woken up. I don't know. Either way, linin izagan is chayiv, linin arba dvarim potter, like we've been saying. When you do something b'shoigig, you're not chayiv on tsar ripu shevas and baishas. Linin Shabbos melachas machshavas as the Torah. For Shabbos, the Torah only asks something that you did consciously. This is obviously done unconsciously, so it's not a problem. Linin golos potter. For golos, he is potter, right? Linin eved pluked the Rav Shimon Gamliel Rabbanan. And for an Eved, it's a machlokes, Rav Shimon Gamliel and the Rabbanan. The Tanya Harishal Rabbi Roife. If a master is a doctor, and he had and the Eved says to him, "Do my eyes," and he made him blind. Chosali shini bi'apila, right? Or he said, "Scrape my teeth," bi'apila. And then the tooth fell out, which both of those things make a slave be able to go free. So, but the guy didn't do it, the doctor who was his master didn't do it on purpose. It was obviously a mistake. So, he laughs at the other and he goes to Cheirus. Right?
What? Yaakov?
Yeah.
How do we know that this machlokes is telling them? Maybe it's similar. It's a similar idea as Golos, where you need to have a idea meikara. Mechatesi, even according to Shita, it holds that it's if that he goes free lagabe eved. That's telling this din. By rock being, maybe you need more than that. That even if it's a shoygig, it has to be you have a idea meikara, similar to Golos, right? Here we say that by gullahs, it has to be a shoygig, but there has to be some knowledge of it to begin with for you to have to be mechayiv in gullahs when it comes to that shoygig. So this case, you have no knowledge of it, therefore you can't go to gullahs in such a scenario. So maybe that's true legabe Evid as well. Why is it telling that machlokes? Maybe according to a sheet that holds, the Evid would go free if in that case it's because you have the idea that you might cause him to go blind by doing what you're doing. Here you don't know anything.
Right. I hear the chiluk.
I mean, you can be even mechalik in the case itself.
Right.
Similar to what we say the gabi goals of a yid.
Correct. I hear the kasha. Yeah. I don't know. Are we gonna? I don't know if it's the same parameters, but yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so it says so you have to have kavanah, right? So that's by an eved, it's the same thing. So if the guy is sitting with a rock on his chest, then he gets up and it hits his eved, damages his eved. So according to Rav Shimon Gamliel, the eved still is stuck there because it was not damaged on purpose. According to Rabbanon, he goes free. Fine. So those are all the halachas with the guy had no idea whether there was a rock on him. Now hikirba v'shakha v'amad b'naf. So he knew there was a rock on him. Then he forgot about it. Then he stood up and it fell. Then in nezikin chayev. For damages, he's chayev. Then in dalet dvarim potter. But for dalet dvarim, he's potter. Right? Then in galus chayev. But for galus, he's chayev damakro b'shkaga. It says b'shagim cloud havila yediyah, right? Like Akiva was just saying. That's it means that you had to have a yediyah v'havila yediyah, and he had a yediyah.
You go to Galus just for damaging someone?
No, someone if you must have killed him.
But
Are we
these cases
talking about
where
an
it killed
Evid
him?
Ivri or Evid Kanani?
We're all talking about an Eved.
But I thought it damaged the guy. It killed him.
It had to have killed him. Otherwise, what?
Different cases. It's 5 different cases, just using the same hechatimta.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. Right. It's each one for its own. It's talking about Eved Kanani, Racham, and why?
Because it doesn't seem like it was. I mean, by Evid Kanani, we say loyal to avoidim. So, but over here, if it's an Evid Ivri, then I can understand because still a yid that you would be paying damages for, but he still has a din to go free, and it's also what havamina would you ever have to if you killed b'shoigeg an Evid Kanani, that you would go to Golis, but by an Evid Ivri, that's much clearer.
Right.
We're not talking about killing an Evid. What are we talking about killing an Evid?
Okay, well, when we said Goyla, you're talking about the Misa, so it's just it doesn't seem so much like an Evid Kanani. Maybe it sounds more like an Evid Ivri.
So I always thought it was an Evid Ivri that went out b'shem v'ayin, not an Evid Kanani. Who goes out b'shem v'ayin? Isn't that Mishnah Kedushin? It's not that long ago we learned Kedushin, but I forgot it.
It's a lot.
Second parak of Kedushin, we had a Mishnah. No, the Evid Nikne, the Kasef, the Yaitz, the Kainis Atzmai.
Yeah. I had a Gemara then today. At the end of Gittin today, I had no recollection. So
Okay, that's before Kedushin. I don't remember Kedushin.
yeah, that's true. But I'm saying,
Yaakov, this isn't Shageg Karvel Mazit?
is it a
With
shaygig?
Hikabah?
Oh, you
With the
forgot.
idea?
Well, that's where you get into this whole thing. Is that really called shaygig?
Well, Rashi says it's not Shia, but there's still an idea of Shageg Karvel Mazit that's not Shia either, correct?
Yeah.
So, or is Shageg Karvel Mazit more Shiadik? Is that where Rashi's coming to be the Afuke?
It's a whole sugya where you call what's suffix on Yediyah, right?
Well, that's what I'm asking. The Gemara here seems to be mechalik in these two cases, but the Gemara says even in this case, it's enough of a shaykh. It's not considered a karvel mezid.
Right. So even the Taisus Bishkaga, right? We're not when they're looking at the Taisus Bishkaga. Anyway, okay, so again, let's start again. Hikra Bava Shikha. He remembered he knew about the stone and then forgot about it. He stood up and it fell. Then he's talking chayiv. If he damaged, he's chayiv, right? Leaning dalad dvarim potter, because at the end of the day, he's a shoygig, right? Leaning galus, if he were to kill with that stone chayiv, damar krabishkaga, and he had a yediyah. Leaning Shabbos potter. For Shabbos he's potter because he had no intention of that stone doing anything. Leaning Eved, plug to the Rosh Hashanah. Okay, that's that one. Now, Nischav and Lizrik Shtayim V'Zorak Arba. Let's say he had kavanah to throw something 2, and it went 4. So then you nizakin chayiv. Adam would lie them. Then you dalid dvarim potter because he's a shagig. He didn't want it to go 4 and do the damage. Then you Shabbos Malachas Machshavas Bino. He needed Malachas Machshavas, so he only had kavanah for it to go 2 and it ended up going 4. So that's not his problem. Then you Galus Asher Lo Tzada Amar Achmana. Problem Nischav and Lizrik Shtayim V'Zorak Dalid. So for Galus, he says if you didn't trap, right, it's coming to exclude somebody else kavanah to throw it.
Tzida is I thought it was Tzida, no?
Yeah, what did I say?
Tzada.
No, tzada is the word. Tzida is trapping. The word in the pasuk is tzada. Yeah. Probably the Scham Lizak Shtayim is Zarak Dalil in Eved for the Reb Shimon Rabban. Fine. That's 2 to 4. Next case in the Scham Lizak Arba V'Zorak Shmoina. He had kavanah to throw it 4, and he threw it 8. Lini Nizika and Nizakin Chayev Lini Dal Dvaram Potter. Lini Shabbos Ba'Omer in Shabbos when he says kol makom shetirtza tenuach in. If he says I'm throwing this thing or wherever it lands, I'm fine with it. So then he's going to be chayiv. Eloi, but if not, not. Leaning Golos says Asher Loi Tzada, problem is Hamad Bezerka, Bezarok Shmeina. So he's potter from Golos. Leaning Eved, okay. Those are all those. Those are all those variables. Fine. Now the Gemara. This is all rabbas. These are all members from Rabbah about damages. Vama Rabbah Zora Kli Mirosh Hagag. We had this a couple of blot ago. He throws a kli off the roof, which means that kli is going to break when it hits the ground. Uba acher b'shavu b'makel, and came along somebody else and breaks it with a stick. So potter is potter. My time on monatfira tava, because this thing was bound to be broken anyways. So you went and broke it before. So what? You broke something that was broken, even though at the point that you broke it, it wasn't yet broken. I think I just said something simple, made it really sound complicated, right? But essentially, this thing is going to be broken anyway. So what's the big deal if you intercept it and break it? Bama Rabba, another one. Zara kli mirash hagag. If a guy was throwing a kli off a roof, you tacht of karam exosus, and they had pillows or blankets under it, so it was not going to break. Then ba'acha b'silkon, or then somebody else comes and removes those pillows, which means he's the one that's causing the damage. Or even the guy that threw the things off the roof went and took away the pillows. Potter is potter. My time of the shadya psuke mafsaki gire. When he threw it off, right, the arrows were stopped. Meaning he was throwing it off the roof, fine, but it was supposed to land on a pillow, which was going to make it not get damaged. So, somebody else comes and takes it away, even if it's himself. He's still not going to have it's not going to be a problem. All right, let's do one more. If somebody throws a kid off a roof, and somebody is standing there and he lets the kid land on his sword. So this is not the same as throwing off a kli. It's a machlokes. Rabbi Yehuda and Sarah Rabbanim. The Tanya, Iku Asor Bnei Adam, Asor Maklois. If 10 people are with 10 sticks are hitting somebody, whether they all did it at one time, they beat the guy, or whether they did it one after the other. On Talmud Aleph now, Peturin, they are potter. Why? Because you have to hit. You have to do everything yourself, right? So Mamela, they're potter from Isa because it was done with 10 other people. If it's one after the other, the last guy is the one that's chayiv, right? Because he's the one that brought the death on. Because he was makar of the misa, right? So what do we see from this? That our case with the child is the same thing. The child was going to die anyway. Doing this, whatever, the same machlokes with these 10 is the same machlokes with the child being thrown off, right? If you're going to throw off the child, right, and it's a combination of the sword and the guy with the sword made the death go faster, right? So the Rabbanon are going to say that he's not chayiv because it's a combination of people killing. But Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira is going to hold that it is, right? Find one more, which is a subcategory of this. Instead of a guy waiting there with a sword, there was a shar that it landed on its horns. That's the machlokes Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Shmuel ben Noish, Rabbi Yochanan ben Braygen. When you're being paida, meaning this is kaifer, right? When an animal kills somebody, you have to pay pidyon nafshe. But who's pidyon nefesh? The main nizik, the worth of the guy who got damaged. Rabbi Shmuel ben Noish, Rabbi Yochanan ben Braygen, the main mazik. No, who needs the kapara? The guy whose animal did the damage. So you have to pay his worth, right? So that's the same machlokes here. If you go with the shita that you pay the main nizik, the nizik wasn't worth anything when it hit. the horns of the animal, right? Because it was going to die. It was being thrown off a roof. So when it hit the horns of the animal, it was worth nothing. So that you potter from kaifa. But if you hold it, you have to pay to May Mazik, so then you have to pay the worth of the owner of the shar, and that for sure is he's fine. So Mamela, that would be the same machlokes. Okay. We'll stop over there. 922.
Jacob, you beat me, baby.
Beat you.